about innovation, regeneration, learn, new city, urban, innovative, amazing approach, historic. I mean, I think it reflects a little bit the expectation of the project of this innovative approach on these historical centers. About the skills, that is also very interesting about the analyzing the words you have like add in the post-its. You can see that, I mean, your experience are in design, are in experience. I mean, having experience is a good skill in this kind of projects. Also about heritage, models, innovation also. All, again, experience, but with capital letter. But you have experience, like double experience with capital letter and not capital letter. And also, like, just to finish, I would like to add a very interesting also analysis of your words in the what you have learned, the summary in the morning. I mean, so here is the words that you use the most in the post-its about the interesting, about the projects you have learned and you have listened to. Also about the sister projects, that is also something that came up in your post-its, in the project, the presentations, positive, ready, transforming. And I'd say this is quite a nice summary of the things we have been reflecting and we have been learning this morning. So this is it. I think we have to move on and still work on the project and all your reflection on this matter.
Yeah, and I believe the screen is Vera's to introduce our next speaker. And by the way, we started recording again. So we are recording the session for people who wanted to join and couldn't. I am not yet exactly sure how it will be shared, but it will be shared. So we hope you're okay with that. And if there's any issue with the recording, please get in touch with us if you don't want to appear or something like that. We can figure it out. Vera, over to you.
Yes, so let me introduce our next speaker, Mr. António Câmara. He is a professor at the new University of Lisbon, and he pioneered research on virtual and augmented reality and also in geographical information systems. He is also a researcher with more than 200 international publications, and he is an entrepreneur and a visionary, in my opinion. One of his well-known company until 2015 was named Why Dreams. And this name expresses exactly the combination between entrepreneurship and creativity. He received several international awards during his career, including the Prémio Pessoa 2006, and which is one of the European Entrepreneur Awards by the European Union in 2009. Mr. António Câmara, the screen is all yours. Thank you.
Well, thank you. Good morning. So I'm going to talk about innovation in city centers. I'm deeply involved right now in a project that unfortunately I cannot report. But first of all, you know, I come from the tech world, so I will try to combine the tech world, of course, with the traditional type of innovation, but very much my talk is at least biased towards the innovation in terms of invention of new products and services that somehow reach the market or the society. So I passed through my introduction, and I start with a documentary that is on Netflix called I Flying Bird, you know, and basically it reports a strike in the NBA, and the young players that arrived from college were hoping to have great contracts and buy houses to their families and friends, and they cannot do it. You know, so one of them visits his coach in a Bronx high school, and the Bronx coach tells, well, we blacks dominate basketball, but then the whites develop a game on top of our game called the NBA. And I really think that we should look to innovation that way. There is a game, but then there is a game on top of the game. And if you go to Belém here in Lisbon, you see Pastéis de Belém that plays a great game. you know, they develop great custard, you know, and everyone is trying to buy. I mean, this is before COVID, of course, but you see the success of someone that plays the game very well. And then in the same street, you have Starbucks coffee with much less people. But Starbucks is an example of a game on top of the game. I mean, they have the brand, you know, they have the logistics, they have the marketing and sales that Pastéis de Belém doesn't have. Of course, both are legitimate, but it's a very different type of innovation. And I'm going to show that even for traditional places like Pastéis de Belém, you can play the game on top of the game with you know, with significant advantages. So what is the game, you know? And I think the game of innovation is very much conditioned by our education. I mean, most of our education in Portugal, in many countries, follows the infection model. You are infected in school, and then your infection is tested in exams. You know, and really, if you want to be an innovator, you have to you know, to open your eyes and look of what should we aspire to, you know, what is the blueprint for the future, and then you know, and then come back and track back, and hoping to reach that future someday through several steps. So one of the reasons that city centers have been in danger, and in some cities in US have been, you know, really impoverished, is actually the internet. And the internet follows some sort of the aggregate theory. And the aggregate theory is favoring platforms that basically organize our life for convenience. You know, so if you look to all the platforms, Amazon, Facebook, Google, Uber, they basically win you through convenience at the expense, many times, of the traditional businesses, you know, traditional stores and so forth. So a part of my research right now in the last 3 years that we are applying right now, actually to Lisbon, is how to design a new internet. Which has still, of course, the advantages of the current internet, but doesn't, on the contrary, it really favors the city centers. And unfortunately, I cannot tell much more than this. What I really want to you know, to say to justify this assumption is that right now in this decade, we will finally move from the data world where internet is to the real world, where we live, and the technology that enables us to do that is really augmented reality, and that's one of the areas we have been exploring. So, if you look to innovation in general and in the city centers, I think it's very interesting to look of what the kids in South Korea study until the 9th year. This is a sort of a number of subjects that they follow. They both, you know, they both have traditional lectures, but also they learn how to do things until the 9th year. And these 10 topics are very relevant because somehow they show what can you expect in terms of developments in the next decades, what our schools should be teaching and probably are not. And they create the basis of what we can hope to design into the education, both formal and informal, to have people thinking about inventions, thinking about innovations. And we are actually exactly doing that right now. In terms of the game that I really think will change and will help develop the city centers, I come back to what I said previously. We have to bridge the real and data worlds, and the technology to do that is really augmented reality on the front end and artificial intelligence in the back end. These will enable, and I'm going to speak very briefly about some examples, to transform our traditional stores in model stores, and that can not only sell locally but also globally, but will value the sort of intellectual property that major, the old store owners have, and right now it doesn't pass in their lives. I mean, they really only sell commodities when they truly sell their knowledge. But I'll come back in a minute. And the backbone of this sort of new real world internet is, of course, our location. And most of the work has been done sort of outside with GPS, but we spend 80% of our time indoors. So one of the really important areas actually is indoor location. One of the things we have been working is georeferencing everything. What will enable to transform local stores in something that can be, that can go beyond, the neighborhood, is really to georeference and assign data to every product and everything. So indoor positioning systems are as relevant as GPS. The other thing is that when we are talking about a new internet based on the real world, we have to add and tag and bring intelligence to almost everything. Lots of people talk about Internet of Things, but we really think augmented reality will do it by image recognition, by reading barcodes or QR codes, and it's doing it already. So this transformation, the game that will enable us to sort of save and develop the city centers, I really think is very much based on adding intelligence to objects, to spaces, to activities, and again, augmented reality is a key technology in this process. And it's very interesting because we are looking on how to develop this internet, and we are following very much, some sort of a decentralized model where the world is our browser, where geography becomes a microgeography, where we are going to improve on the privacy issues, and we are going to go for a distributed broadcast society. Distributed model is one that favors, for instance, do-it-yourself, the maker movement, and the development hyperlocal economies. And our inspirations are as far left as you can imagine. I think a mutual aid for Peter Kropotkin was a major inspiration for what we are doing, because it will enable to create a digital information infrastructure that will support, local democracy, local media, the matching between supply and demand, and the sanctuaries for the poor and so forth. We also looked to A.B. Hoffman's, as a famous EP that wrote Steal This Book, which is sort of a revolutionary. I don't advise reading the last two chapters. One is about pickpocketing in the supermarket, and the other one is how to develop Molotov cocktails. But all the other chapters are really enlightening, and help you to sort of create a mirror world that is actually sustainable. So this is really abstract, as probably you are saying right now. So I'm going to go further and talk about the game on top of the game, where the game basically is this new internet that favors the hyperlocal. And the top of the game are the ideas that will bring it alive. And if you look to traditional innovation, usually we follow the linear model. We imagine that the academics do research, and somehow that research translates in added value. That is not the case many times, because that requires entrepreneurs to make that transition, and they don't abound. And of course, there is another model, which is to change from old technologies to new technologies, a model that was pioneered by MIT and now is followed at several universities. But also, we can look to to this kind of game on top of the game from a business perspective, and think that, okay, there are several layers that are very important. Ideas, intellectual property is a key one. You know, you have to have ideas, and then you have to somehow find financing and business models to sustain them, of course, using marketing and communication sales. But really, everything starts with the ideas, and those ideas can be either very simple or highly technological. Most of the people now have access to different financing and business models. You know, also everyone knows about marketing and communications. So what we learned in this Lisbon project is that there is no better way to learn and to create something that can be innovative, and in these times of crisis can help us go back to some sort of a normal world, and on top to develop a much brighter future, than to listen to people. So one of the key methods we used was to interview actual people that are in the local stores, you know, in the restaurants, in all kinds of institutions. And we were inspired by the Federal Reserve Badge Book in US. There is tradition of listening to people all around the country. And from listening to people, we learn much more than all the theoretical models I've been talking to. And we sort of adjusted our planned internet to what we learn. And one of the big lessons is from Peixaria Centenaria. This comes from a family that is working in the fish business for a long time. And basically, they use design thinking to sort of save the business. They have a very interesting model, you know, all through the, you know, the store. You know, in the evening when they don't sell fish, they sometimes grill it, you know, open a table and serve people around the block. That's an example where we really learn that design thinking will be very important to sort of change several stores that look condemned. We are very much inspired also by movements of creating new types of companies, like the Youth Creative Agency that was created in Brownsville, New York, where we empower you know, the youngsters to go ahead in the world, you know, and you have as tutors the most experienced people in the neighborhood. And I think one of the probably most inspiring stories we learn and we are following is this story about a Japanese company that was developing chalk, was about to be bankrupt. And I think the grandson of the owner had a great idea, because that chalk was perfect for mathematicians. So he sent boxes of chalks to famous mathematicians around the world. They loved it. You know, they agreed to be part of a film. You know, and the company became getting orders from all over, and you know, and are now successful. So this type of learning the stories, you know, learning what is the, you know, the value, the intellectual property that you can associate to a store. You know, even the most conventional stores is really important, because it provides you with some sort of storytelling that can make the difference. You know, and that storytelling is important in terms of the local neighborhood, in the city, but also the world. It opens, you know, the global world to very local stores. So the other thing we have been looking is that we really need new models, new enterprise models. And one of the companies that I like the most for a long time is Mondragon. Mondragon is one of the top companies in Spain, and is a cooperative. And I really think this cooperative model is very well adjusted, you know, and a new model of governance that it's very resilient, you know, and you can see this in certain neighborhoods in Lisbon. There are lots of cooperatives that are being developed, you know, people that lost their jobs and get together to create new ventures. The other thing, you know, and we have been following this at Y Dreams, it's called now YDX Innovation, is some sort of doing a cooperative that is not local, but includes companies around the world, you know. So we didn't have the resources to, you know, to play the virtual reality world and the esports world by ourselves. So we sort of created, you know, a cooperative again, you know, a set of companies that get together for a purpose, coming from Brazil, from Canada, from the US, and from the UK. And actually, right now, Portugal has a huge challenge with the ocean. I really think many of the startups that will be created in Lisbon and other Portuguese cities in the next 10 years will be very much oriented towards the ocean, you know, to our ocean. I mean, we have an economic exclusive area of the size of Europe. And so we imagined, you know, that, again, the way to approach the ocean is through this sort of cooperative model, you know, and we're looking to innovative ways to finance in a global scale. So you can go from the local companies and bring them together in sort of a huge cooperative that can operate globally. One of the great inspirations that we always followed in our life was science fiction. You know, for many years we had sort of the cyberpunk movement. I really think right now it's really interesting to follow the solarpunk movement. How do we imagine the cities in the future? How are they going to be? You know, I really think that it's going to be totally different. For instance, we were starting imagining that in a city, instead of just pharmacies that treat our disease, what will be the type of stores of the future? The health stores. Of course, we have several already, but let's imagine life in a completely different way. You know, let's imagine, you know, what are the roles of the trees and where they should be. Let's imagine, you know, and lots of people are imagining like that our mobility changes. You know, and I really think the solarpunk movement now has very imaginative stories on how to achieve that. And I really, you know, I really think that this project is very, very interesting. I would like to follow. I hope that in 2 or 3 weeks we'll send the presentations of what we are doing now, that I really think will be quite interesting. I'm reached at this email. We have a group called Explora, which is on Facebook, and where we have about 50 posts a day on all kinds of stuff. And you are welcome to join it. You know, at least you'll have something to read if you have insomnias. And every Sunday I publish a Sunday news, which is sort of a summary. And of course, you are also welcome to subscribe, and it's totally free. So now I have some time to answer questions. Go ahead. Otherwise, you just can send through email and I'll answer you promptly. But I'm available right now.
With some question? Agnes, please.
Yes, sorry. I was very intrigued of this idea of the basketball on top of which it has been built, the NBA and this concept. And this is not only a question for you, Antonio. Thanks a lot for your presentation. It was just like so many things to think, yeah. Very dense. But it's also a question for everyone. And I'm thinking, how can we make Habeen in a way that is still a project on top of a project, or something on top of something, maintaining, of course, improving. So not the example of Starbucks of the MBA, because I don't know, I feel they're a little bit negative.
Yeah, but I can provide you an example which is easier. For instance, in my neighborhood, there is this guy that has a cafe, And this cafe is unbelievably successful because he managed to be sort of the cement of the whole community. And they became the cement of the whole community because he has documentaries on Monday, he has poetry on Tuesdays, or at least he had before COVID, and he had jazz on Thursdays. You know, so people at the end of the day would go there, you know, and after a while, that became the place. So I really think this guy, that by the way is a mathematician, you know, and decided to have a cafe, is someone that can lecture, you know, on sort of development of a community based on the cafe. So the value of his cafe is much bigger than just the products that he sells, which are very good, by the way. You know, so he basically developed a game on top of the game that makes the whole difference. You know, so we are looking to stores and see where that happens, where, you know, the guy knows so much that he's a curator. You know, he doesn't just sell, you know, a product, you know, he sells knowledge about solving problems. You know, and if you do that and you tell their stories, I mean, I really think you create a really nice environment, you know, in the neighborhood where you sort of reward the people that make the effort, but also you are going to have, and you provide benefits for them in the long run. And I really think right now where stores and restaurants are selling about 40% where they used to, it's really important to look to that type of ideas. The other idea that we really think it's very important is that Facebook and Google destroyed local media. And local media is decisive, you know, and I think there will be a major effort, and that we are trying to do to really recreate local media, because that's where we're going to have stories on the real people that live around you, but also where you are going to have, again, you know, sort of the ways to match what you need and what you can offer in a community. There are lots of platforms that do that, but why not imagine local media, which will be a blend of the newspapers, the radio, and television?
I have another comment. This is a sort. You told very good examples regarding the adaptation of local business with innovative models. But my concern is also that in our historic centers we don't have. This is not the general situation. We have local business, traditional business with people that don't have that capacities to improve. You gave the example of one mathematician that developed a business, but normally this is not the usual situation.
Yeah,
so
we are working in that case too. I mean, we are working with someone that doesn't have that education, and of course that's a different problem. I mean, you have to find someone, but I'm talking about people that even if they don't have the education or you know, the digital capabilities, you know, they are open to do it, you know, and what they need is help, you know, and I really think that help can be provided and can value those persons, even if they don't have that level of education. And we are doing that. I cannot tell that that example right now because it's really, and I would love to because it's fantastic, but I will send to everyone in the project that you know, a video showing what we have done, because I really think it will be an example, a very good example that is possible to do it.
Yes. Well, another comment, another question. I know that you don't have too much time, but that's a very interesting subject that I think that we need to create another moment to discuss. But the digital business, the digital big business, for example, including Amazon and so on, they are increasing a lot, and they are there are one sector that is that benefits with this crisis, the COVID pandemic crisis. My question is, how can we combine this situation with the small and medium enterprises in this area?
Well, it's really a pity because this is 2 weeks earlier. But basically, what we have been designing is a platform and I cannot say that very much publicly, but it looked very seriously on how the platforms are developed. And we basically created a counter platform based on the hyperlocal, and we have been testing it. And we really think that we can regain part of the 80% that Portuguese advertising right now spends with Google and Facebook, and redirect it to local media, that we can kill between quotation marks, sort of the Amazon and Ubers in the local community. And we can use Amazon and Alibaba for worldwide exports. So we really think it's possible to go against those giants, in a completely different way. And that's what we've been trying to do. And the first tests are really positive, where it's going to be, I know that we are going to be attacked from every possible corner, but we decided to go against the giants, creating something completely new that, of course, doesn't ignore what is good on the internet today. So it is possible. I cannot say more, but augmented reality and artificial intelligence are the keywords. I could have many more, but those two are, and the real world and the digital world. I mean, right now, the internet is very based on the data world. It uses the aggregation theory. I mean, we went against the aggregation theory. We came back to the pre-internet days, and we tried to rebuild from there. And it's really, it's something that we are really, really proud.
Any else question?
Yeah, I apologize, but my university played a video on a lecture that I recorded, and they want me now to answer to questions.
Yes.
Send emails, join me, it will be fine.
Okay, thank you very much. I'm eager to know more about the project.
Yeah, we'll send you the full presentation. We are,
more than that, we need to link our BIM project with that project. So, but we talked about that.
For sure.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Bye-bye.
Wow. So we have a break on schedule. Would people like a 5-minute break? Grab a coffee, grab some water. Yeah?
Yes.
Yes, there is interest in a break. There usually is. Okay, so let's take a short 10-minute break, and we can play some music in the meantime. Heel, you had something on your mind?
I have something to say. So after the break, we're going to work in breakout rooms. So please, one thing, remember to change your name. So put the name and the organization you're in, and at the same time, if you like to put in your name and start, like saying that you're going to be really present in your team. So in the group, for instance, you can say my name that I put as start the beginning. So it means that I would be really present in the video and in the micro for the conversation in the breakout rooms, and enjoy the break. Don't close the session, just get the image and the mic out, and we will create the rooms for the session afterwards. Thank you very much.
Okay, see you in 10.
till my love took it down. I climbed a mountain and I turned around, and I saw my reflection in snow-covered hills till the landslide brought me down. Oh, mirror in the sky, what is love? Can the child within my heart rise above? Can I sail through the changing ocean tides? Can I handle the seasons of my life? Well, I've been afraid of changing, 'cause I've built my life around you. But time makes you bolder, even children get older, and I'm getting older too. Well, I've been afraid of changing, 'cause I've built my life around you. But time makes you bolder, even children get older, and I'm getting older too. Oh, I'm getting older too. Take my love, take it down. Climb a mountain and turn around. And if you see my reflection in the snow-covered hills, where the landslide will bring it down. And if you see my reflection in the snow-covered hills, well, a landslide will bring it down. Oh, the landslide will bring it down.
I can see clearly now, the rain is gone. So if you get it wrong, you'll get it right next time. Life is a liar, yeah, life is a cheat. It'll lead you on and pull the ground from underneath your feet. No use complaining, don't you worry, don't you whine. Cause if you get it wrong, you'll get it right next time. Next time. You gotta grow, you gotta learn by your mistakes. You gotta die a little every day to try to stay awake. When you believe there's no mountain you can climb, and if you get it wrong, you get it right next time. Next time.
L'estate.
Of course, we had to have some advertisement. So I'm just going to take that as a cue to start asking people to come back from their break. And when you're back, to please switch on your webcam. Yeah, it was not Italian radio. No, that was Spotify advertisement. As we are enjoying a playlist which has already become the soundtrack, has been defined the soundtrack for this kickoff meeting, which was generously created by Brian. So if you find yourself after 4 p.m. really missing the meeting and just wanting to get that feel back, you can go to Spotify and you have a playlist. I don't know if it's open. Maybe you can also add to the playlist. I'm not sure. Okay, so welcoming people back. Yes, I also really liked the playlist. Okay. So I would like to acknowledge, so earlier in the morning we had a breakout room session, and many people we then discovered are here, are listening, but maybe are working at the same time and cannot switch on their webcam, or they might not have microphones. So I just want to acknowledge that can happen. So we are soon going to go into another breakout, more numerous, so you should not find yourself alone. But where the idea was more to have larger groups of about 10 people for a discussion. So I'm going to introduce that. And meanwhile, my colleagues are setting it up. And because we are we're still a lot of people. We're 70 people. This is amazing. We are less people than we were this morning. So we've had to shuffle a bit around. And therefore, some of you who have generously volunteered to host these breakout sessions might find themselves without a breakout session to host. The invitation is to navigate that as it unfolds. And please don't be mad at us for asking you to host something and then you didn't have anything to host. I'm sure you'll find other ways to contribute. Okay, so, and then we'll just see how it works. I mean, people have been wonderfully flexible. And so here's the idea. We will go back to our Miro board, and I'm just put the link in the chat. And as before, people are by now probably bored to hear me say this, but I will also share it just in case you can't follow the action directly on the Miro. So this time, the invitation is, first of all, to go and check out some pictures. This is the box for our afternoon. It says part 3. And if we zoom in, we find that somebody has been very busy in the background. And we have pictures from our Energizer, including a pineapple. So that's where you can find pictures of the event, in case, again, you were missing everything too much. Yeah, okay, Julia, take a bow. That was very nice. Thank you for doing that for us. And you can also find slides from the incredible keynote speech. By now, you know how to do this. And then there's a section called Parallel Sessions. So the idea is this time to have a longer session, so we have some space to actually generate all those ideas and have those conversations. And we have about an hour for this activity. So we will soon be asking people to join breakout rooms. Ideally, you should be about 10 people, I think, in every breakout room. And in every breakout room, you will find a host to welcome you and a space on the Miro to collect your thoughts. So by now you are all pros with using Post-its, and of course we can support each other and learn together how this works. And these are the generative questions offered for reflection. So one is really a general idea about how can we promote cultural heritage-led regeneration. One is about the impact of the pandemic, and one is about what we are bringing with us. So I believe that's all I need to say to introduce the session, unless some of my colleagues will remind me what I have forgotten, such as Gil, who did the groups and probably knows better than me how many groups there actually are. You're muted.
So
you're muted.
one second. So we're going, because we're around 68 people, so the thing is that we're going to have 5 groups, but and something that is important, because we saw before that maybe some people is muted and not with the image. We would encourage you to, when you begin to talk, to know who is really working on the group. And if it's needed, we would create another group. So we are going to have these 5 groups, okay? If you feel that you have more than 10 active people, then you can reach us and we can create another group. Okay, a few seconds, because the technical part is going to work in 1 sec.
Yeah, and please collaborate in sharing, in writing down some notes so that people who are not in your group can read what the other discussions were, because of course every discussion will be different. And then after about an hour, we will call you back to plenary, hear some voices, harvest some results, and do one last, hopefully fun celebratory activity before 4. Okay?
So we are ready. So enjoy.
Alfama não envelhece e hoje parece mais nova ainda. Iluminou as janelas, reparem nela como está linda. Vestiu a blusa clarinha que é da vizinha, a mais modesta, e pôs a saia garrida que só é vestida em dias de festa. Becos, escadinhas, ruas estreitinhas, onde em cada esquina há um baile. Trovas pelas vielas e em todas elas fumo de manjerico, risos, gargalhadas, fatos desgarradas. Hoje a Alfama é um demónio e em cada canto um suave encanto de um trono de Santo António. Já se não ouvem cantigas e as raparigas de olhos cansados ainda aproveitam o ensejo de mais um beijo dos namorados. Já se ouvem sinos tocando, galos cantando, a desgarrada, e mesmo assim Dona Alfama só volta para a cama quando a madrugada. Becos, escadinhas, ruas estreitinhas.
Beautiful Alfama neighborhood. We're talking about historical sites. We're in Lisbon, so you have to listen to some music from Alfama also, and thought that was important. So I hope we hope you have enjoyed the groups. We have seen a lot of action there, so that's great. Many posits, many ideas. So how about if you share some insights from each group, so you can have kind of 1 minute each group, and you can share something, and maybe we can get some questions. That's all.
You should stop sharing computer sound, because that's a little bit like the voice goes in and out again.
Okay. So maybe we can begin, if you like, with this group. Group 1. Who was here? Who would love to share?
I'll start. Brendan here from Belfast. So the questions are how we can promote cultural-led regeneration and use innovation and creativity and sustainability as catalysts. Two of the key points that sort of I brought up, and sort of the group then we sort of start grouping things together into little sort of mini clusters into it. One of the main ones was to create a local ecosystem, economic and citizen community. So we were talking about the importance of engagement among different sectors to obviously sort of lead the regeneration. So SME community was obviously key, and across all SMEs. So we were looking at those involved in sort of the digital technology side of it and innovation, but other sectors who are coming maybe from sort of the not-for-profit or the cultural side of stuff. And so to run things like different challenge competitions using technology, immersive technology, data analytics, in turn promoting open innovation, and making sure that we've got businesses who may not be in the business of innovating, but really engaging them with their challenges in a specific area with that innovator community. Another area was sort of the use of space and the use of sort of whether it's regeneration space or brownfield space in terms of animation. And again, this links very, very closely in with sort of the first point, is that we need to really engage the citizen in that. So the citizen has a stakehold, or has some skin in the game in terms of what actually is the regeneration, how do we make it culturally relevant. And that could be everything from looking at best uses of AR to sort of nod back to the past, but also to look to the future, and also to showcase innovation and help drive footfall. I think, not only are we all experiencing lack of footfall and lack of engagement within cities, never mind some urban areas which may be outside of a city centre, but trying to get people more committed to their own place and starting thinking like that and have skin into it. So obviously the ecosystem then obviously becomes a major element of that. And what we find, and I know we find this in Belfast, but we have lots of little ecosystems that exist in such a small urban environment. We have, you know, local businesses, academics, students, older population, and that throws up a lot of different challenges in terms of what an area should be or shouldn't be, such as mobility, education, employability, skills, employment, and wealth creation, obviously, as well, and innovation around that, and how we can really innovate properly and meaningfully, and that is going to have a longer term effect even sort of after this program. So those are the two areas that obviously I've a vested interest in, and a lot of good discussion on that. So I'm happy if any of our group want to say a few quick words in any of the other areas.
I think unfortunately our time is up, so we already saw the big sign that the time is up. The only one tiny point that I'd like to add, that was from Darina on like the visibility strategy, but it's written out nicely on the post-its. But this is one of the key points that ties in nicely, which was what Brandon was just saying. So thanks.
Okay, thank you very much. And that's great because we would love to talk and share. So how about the Group 2 here?
Hi everybody, I'm Giovan Battista and I'm the speaker for the second group. So about the first question, we focused also on local communities, but also we discussed especially about create a shared vision together with the local community, but also it's important to engage the city and the current institution in order to have everybody the same goal and enable to facilitate the process of innovation. Then it's also important to build the network of stakeholders that should mostly agree about the objective of the program. Then about the second question, we focused more on the opportunities that also this crisis give, especially maybe in the short term, because this crisis has led to a drop in mass tourism, which in the case of this project can help to start new innovations, start new solutions without the pressure of mass tourism. And we discussed deeply the Airbnb situation and accommodation in historical city center, where usually, so in the last years, local communities has pushed out of the city because of giving space to tourists that maybe stay in the city just for a couple of days. And so we agreed that COVID can also be an opportunity to develop the project in the short term, and in the long term, probably, so maybe this is more my vision, it won't be such a major issue, but the issues will be more environmental or social. So then the skills of the group were quite amazing and diverse. And we have from, my background is environmental engineering, but we had many architect or city planners, but also social experts that can assess the performance of the project. Okay, I think.
Thank you very much, Giovan Battista. And now we go with group number 3. Don't be shy.
Maybe Sarah or Ronald or
yeah,
Andre.
I can do this. Wait a second. I just want to zoom out. So as far as for regarding the first question, again, it was a very rich discussion. We had a lot of focus on the on using offline communication together with online communication. We talked about connecting innovators in each area, but also the involvement of youth via local schools. And then we talk about the the promotion of sustainable tourism in a historic area, the exchange between hubs in cities, the exchange of best practice. And let me see what else. Yeah, I think that's more or less it for the first question. And for the second, so the impact of COVID, we also tried to focus on the positive elements, and so focus on the opportunity brought by the development of a more sustainable tourism that is also more local based. And we heard some interesting initiative done by some cities already in the field of tourism, for example, organizing tours that are take place outside instead of inside historic buildings. And also the possibility to offer virtual tours or visits. And yeah, and the different use also of public infrastructure. So the street is, there are less cars in the street, and nature is coming back to the city. And then for the third part, we have, in terms of what can we offer for the Habin project to succeed, skills in the field of communication and peer-to-peer exchanges, then experience from a previous project, and yeah, I think that's more or less it.
Thank you very much. That has been great. So now we move to group 4.
This is Liam from FCC, so I can take this one. So I've just quickly tried to cluster some of our findings. So for the first one, we had around kind of the importance of storytelling and branding, kind of creating a distinct brand for that locality based on its cultural heritage, but also around kind of creating pride in an area and getting kind of the community on board. And related to that, you've got kind of citizen engagement and co-creation, kind of genuine citizen engagement going beyond just consultation. Also learning from history, but not necessarily dwelling on it. Using pilots to test ideas, just like this project. Yeah, that's kind of the majority of it for the first one. Do you want to move on to the second one? I can get that on my screen. Oh, you got it. Okay, yeah, so we had a few more clusters on this one around kind of the impacts of COVID. So one of them was around kind of business innovation during COVID and how quite a lot of like local businesses have started to kind of innovate their business plans or very quickly done so during the pandemic to make sure that they can survive. So examples of local businesses offering delivery that maybe didn't do it before, and things like that. And that's kind of related to digital innovation as well, and how these businesses that relied on footfall before might now have to also adapt to kind of using digital innovations. And I think that that's a big place that the hubbing can support is around, I think a lot of the innovations that these businesses made maybe should have happened a long time ago, but it took a global pandemic to kind of push them to do it. And so how do we help them to make it more permanent in the cases where it's kind of business viable to do so? We've also got impacts on local tourism, the financial effects. So kind of the issue. Oh, the minute's gone. Okay, wow. There you go.
Sorry, I didn't want to break the sentences. Thank you very much, Liam. So now we end with group 5.
Yeah, we actually didn't decide about who will be speaking, but if there is any volunteer from our group, maybe Brian or Nina, would you like to? Otherwise, I can do it.
Is Nina here? She would be good.
Nina, are you there? Maybe not.
I am.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Wow. Yeah, a lot has been said in a short space of time. So let me try to recap on that. So we've talked about innovation, creativity, sustainability as drivers for regeneration. Let me see, can we have to zoom in a little bit to get a bit better perspective? So a lot has been said on citizens' engagement and participatory processes and kind of social innovation being driven by harnessing collective imagination as well. We have been talking about this intersect of the bottom-up and top-down approaches and how most likely it is the two together hand in hand that will make the most difference in really creating a change in a given space. Also, in terms of entrepreneurial innovation, we were talking about different circularity models for regeneration. So how we use the space and infrastructure, revitalize buildings and public spaces, materials that we use, what sort of energy sources can we integrate into this regeneration of space and built fabric. And how we design for the utilization of the city fabric, especially in terms of heritage being an active element in the lives of the people there, of the community, as well as an outgoing element that can be appreciated and enjoyed by tourists. Like it was mentioned before, digitalization is an important aspect, hyper-localism, an interesting idea on sort of new types of digital platform, and the experimentation with new technologies to create, to boost heritage elements within given cities. Also new business model and collaboration initiatives, online promotions such as tours, museums, exhibitions, then creating powerful and diverse networks, and understanding what we value as communities as well.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
So, sorry for kind of conversation, but thank you very much all the groups for sharing, all the groups for the work you have done during this time. So now I'm going to pass the ball to Julio, who is going to, we're getting into the end of the day, but this is a great and important moment. Julio.
Yeah, thank you very much, Gil. I'm taking Deborah's role here because she apparently her internet connection is lost. So I think that you are already in the mirror, everyone. Is it correct?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm asking you to have a big zoom out and have a big picture of our day. And if you've done that, you should notice there is a big white space in the middle, and you can zoom there. Oh, I can see you're zooming there. Fantastic. Okay, so now the idea is that we are going to create a collective vision of our desired future for our historic city centers. And how we're going to do this? Well, we're asking you to choose an image or a picture in Google, for example. So I'm going to show you here. Can you let me share the screen? Okay. Okay, so here we are. So I would like you just to think about your vision for the future, what colors there will be, what kind of images comes up to you, or feelings. And if there is something that comes to your mind, some pictures or forms, you go to Google and you try to look for it. So for example, I was shocked by this solar punk term today. So I can come here. I find these wonderful pictures. This is the one I prefer. And then you can double click and copy the image. And then it's very easy. You go back to the mirror board and you can Control V and you paste the image to the mirror. So yeah, I'll give you like some minutes. You can find your favorite vision or dream for the future, and you can collect some pictures, put it there. You can put also post-its or some words, and I'm very curious to see what will come out of it. Is there some question? Is it clear to everybody?
Maybe one brief comment. It could be nice if we add a short title or strapline, maybe, possibly.
Yeah. Yeah, you can also add like some note near your picture just to describe it. Or I see the people is already working. Yeah. Two professional people. Business model puzzle. Okay, so surprise me. Let me stop sharing. Here, do you have some inspiring music for this part? Oh.
Bom dia, amor, dizem as rosas da janela ao ver o sol nascer. Bom dia, amor, tal como as rosas, espero sempre por te ver. E um dia de ser dia, corra o vento por onde for, juntam-se as rosas para me ver com meu amor. Bom dia, digo sempre quando vem, quando passam por mim os olhos seus, e mais diria aos olhos do meu bem, se ao menos uma vez vissem os meus, e mais diria aos olhos do meu bem, se ao menos uma vez vissem os meus. Bom dia, amor, dizem as rosas da janela ao ver o sol nascer. Bom dia, amor, tal como as rosas, espero sempre por te ver. E um dia de ser dia, corra o vento por onde for, juntam-se as rosas para me ver com meu amor.
Uau.
Eu digo tudo o que te vejo, a cada teu passar e fui assim de baixo e trago esta maneira de ser tua. Bom dia, amor, dizem as rosas da janela ao ver o sol nascer. Bom dia, amor, tal como as rosas espero sempre por te ver. E um dia de ser dia, corra o vento para onde for, juntam-se as rosas para me ver com o meu amor.
Wonderful. Whoa, fantastic people. That's great, wonderful. I wonder if we go back in 4 years' time and see that, you know, this is the first step for our journey together. That's that's amazing. Okay, so maybe there is someone else who needs to add something. In the meanwhile, I pass the ball to Guillermo for some reflection. Guillermo?
Yeah, sure. Yes, just to close and to finish the... may I share the... Yeah, here we are. So we are going to do some kind of collection of your thoughts after the session. You will see my computer now. So we have prepared like a Mentimeter survey to like collect your reflection of what do you take from today's meeting. I don't know if you have used Mentimeter before, but you have to go to menti.com and just write the code you have on the screen, the 493984.2, and then you can just write your reflection, so they will be appearing on the screen directly. So just collect your thoughts and your impression and what you take from today's meeting. Okay, great energy, a lot of possibilities. Now we need structure. The best start for a fantastic project. Okay. Inspiration, energy, great collaboration, great kickstart, impressive people. That's us, no? All of you. Place of great vibes, inspiration. Love being part of a European global community, lots of skills, expertise, and great examples to inspire us. Amazing day. Okay, thank you. Engagement and willingness to make the world a better place, a better space. So a lot of like nice thoughts and nice interesting things that you take from today's meeting. So while if you want, I can keep the screen like shared, so you can keep like posting your ideas, and I give the word to Vera and Eduardo, and you want to close the meeting for today's meeting.
Yes, sure. Eduardo, can you start, and I will complete your thoughts.
Yeah,
Eduardo?
absolutely. Yeah, sorry, I was in mute. Well, I mean, this is, I would say, the perfect way to start the European project, namely when we are inspiring to have such activities as co-design, co-creation, engaging with the citizens, the stakeholders. So the project, it's mostly about these kind of things. Of course, we are producing deliverables. Of course, we are producing results. We are generating impacts, but it's at the end, it's all about what we can do to our cities and to use these 8 fantastic cities we have in the consortium in order to inspire some others through the methodologies, through the results we are achieving, inspiring the other cities to have the same or to drive in the same path and to achieve similar results. So let's hope at the end we will be able to have a sort of a similar session as the one we had today, hopefully on face-to-face, the presidential one, and hopefully without this COVID-19 situation. But anyway, I think it was a very, very good start. A great bunch of speakers. It was brilliant hearing from the European Commission to the sisters projects, to the keynote speaker, the discussions we will be having during the breaks and the parallel sessions. It was really fantastic. I'm sorry that we are not able to be at Lisbon at the moment. Our intention was to bring everyone to the sunny Lisbon today, but unfortunately it was not possible. Hopefully for the next meeting we'll have something more local, or at least in a way that you will be able to feel the taste of our local cultural heritage here in Lisbon.
Well, I think that Eduardo told everything. So, but what can I add else? It was, for me, it was an amazing day. It fulfilled all my expectations. Thank you, Aracua. It was a fantastic organization and support to our work. It was fun. The speakers were great. Eduardo already told that. We work in a collaborative way, and this is in fact the most important, because one of the main principles of Avin is exactly this co-design and co-collaboration. So we start at this moment training this mindset. We harvest thoughts and learnings from external entities and from our internal consortium. Just to say goodbye and to thank you everyone. Regarding the external participants that don't belong to the consortium, just reinforcing the idea of Brian Smith, please spread the word, and I think that we will be back soon with more insights and with more ways to interact with you and to engage you in our project. And for the internal participants, just thank you very much, and see you tomorrow. A little bit of music, no? Just to close.
Last one.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Can we dance?
Bye. Bye.
Bye.
We can celebrate it. This is your celebration. Celebrate good times, come on. Let's celebrate. Celebrate good times, come on. Let's celebrate. There's a party going on right here. A celebration to last throughout the years. So bring your good times and your laughter too. We gon' celebrate your party with you. Come on now. Celebration. Let's all celebrate and have a good time. Celebration. We gon' celebrate and have a good time.
Shake yours, shake.
Together, it's up to you. What's your pleasure? Everyone around the world, come on! a celebration. It's a celebration. Celebrate good times, come on. Let's celebrate. There's a party going on right here. A dedication to last throughout the years. So bring your good times and your laughter too. We gon' celebrate and party with you. Come on now. Celebration. Let's all celebrate and have a good time, yeah, yeah. Celebration. We gon' celebrate and have a good time. It's time to come together. It's up to you. What's your pleasure? Everyone around the world, come on. It's a celebration.
Congratulations. That's been great.
It was great.
Eduardo, everyone.
Your work were very, very good. Very good. Thank you very much for your support. It was exactly how I was imagining. So I'm very happy. Completely satisfied with your work. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
So,
see you very soon.
Yes, not tomorrow, but the next day, the other day, right?
Friday.
Are you going to attend tomorrow?
Could be sometime. Yeah, could be.
Yeah.
As you wish. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, see you.
Have a good night.
Bye-bye.
Okay, bye-bye.
See you tomorrow.
Take care. Bye-bye. Thank you.